Welcome to the first daily show of Leg 8. We've got 5,700 miles to go, all the way from Itajaí in Brazil to Newport, Rhode Island, America's sailing mecca. But we are very much in the early stages of this leg. We're going to have Conrad Coleman joining me in a few moments to talk us through some of the pitfalls and some of the opportunities on this leg. Plus, we're going to be hearing from Torben Grail, previous winner of the Volvo Ocean Race, and also from the sailors themselves, Mafre and Vestas 11th Hour Racing. But before we do that, let's take a look at the tracker and see how the race is unfolding. Well, the tracker is live at the moment for you, but right now it's all about heading east. We've got to find a way around the St. Helena High, and Sun Hunkai Scallywag thinks that is holding to the north. Mafre, meanwhile, to the south. But the fleet are so close together, and we've got so many miles still to go. Before we came on air, Conrad Coleman caught up with two of the teams and asked them about how the race was unfolding in these early stages and how the crew was shaping up.
Yeah, all good here. All good here in Mafre after a tricky start yesterday in Itajaí. It was good for us. With the sausage and the triangle, and we managed to start first and start heading offshore in first position, but of course everyone very close. And during the night we've been having a little bit of everything, a little bit of cloud action as well. That's why we lost our position a little bit, and we have right now Donphan here to windward, 0.3 of a mile, and Brunel very close as well to the tide, and I think the rest, they went a bit more north. I think now we're going a little bit better, so super close, all of us, as the whole leg, I'm sure, will be.
Life's all good right now. Sun's just come up. We've had a very pleasant first night at sea. A vast contrast to the last leg, so we can see the whole fleet just this morning. Scallywags is probably the hardest to see there, just up to windward. But yeah, we can read the sign writing on everyone's mainsails from where we are. Yeah, and of course it's a close eye on each other. Every little bit counts in this sort of sailing, so we're sort of making sure we're always matching the speed and angle, just to stay in touch with the fleet.
Now we noticed that you're missing one person, one of your trusty lieutenants on board, Sophie Sisek. Can you tell us about why she's not on board and how that's going to affect your leg?
She's been, with a small injury since leg 2 in an elbow with a bursitis, which she's been pushing a little bit too much, especially the last leg in the Southern Ocean, and at the end was more painful. We went home and see what the doctor said, and decided to have this leg off and try to recover 100%. So should be ready for Newport for transatlantic, and then we decided to go. Don't bring anyone else and just go one less, and we will try. We'll try to manage the leg. Of course, we'll miss her, but I think it's probably not the worst leg to manage with one less person.
The question on everybody's minds is, what is it like being back in the race with a full mainsail and a full mast?
Obviously we had a tough finish to the last leg, where in fact we didn't finish, and our shore team even brought the boat up to Brazil for us with a very small jury rig. So she looks nice and fine with a mast and a full set of sails up, and it's just nice. It's just nice to be back here, because there's every chance that after something like that happens that you never can rejoin the race.
Now we can see a boat in your wake on the camera, and it looks like Dongfang. Can you talk us through your strategy regarding Dongfang? Are you going to stick to them this leg, or are you trying to break away and go for maximum points?
Well, we'll try very hard to break away and go ahead, but I don't think it's only Dongfang. We've got, as I say, everyone on site, and we will be all together the whole leg, I'm sure. But no, not particularly. Looking at them, we have to do our race now, and we have to try to aim for the maximum points. That's what we're going to do. We
heard that the mast that you're currently sailing with is the one from Alva Medica, so the one that belonged to this team last time round. Are there sort of a few wistful glances up above the deck at the moment? Are you happy to be sailing with the material that this team used in the last edition of the race?
Yeah, we reckon it's a good sign now. The guys are sailing home, and they've reunited the Alva Medica mast with the boat. So it's all got to be a positive, for sure. We'll keep a close eye on it the whole time, this leg. But no, I think we're very happy to be out here completely rigged again, and you know, it's just a credit to everyone involved who got us back to this position in the race.
Can you give us a sense of what's coming up in the next 24 hours or so? There's obviously this sort of critical decision about when you tack or when you do the next few tacks to get over onto starboard and start heading north. Can you sort of talk us through that a little bit?
The game plan is there's a few big tacks up this coast until we sort of get to the easternmost section of the coast. So it's sort of, the plan is wait for the shift to a degree, and you know, it's going to be one of those sort of standoffs. We do sort of have 2 goes at that, and after the third tack as such, we that's where we really want to be in our position. That will set us up for the next step of the race.
All the routines are quite consistent, and then we're waiting for a solid 60-65 wind direction, and you know, and then take the shift and start going north. We're heading east, southeast, and still the shift not really all the way, so we keep going upwind, but you know, a little bit faster, just looking for this shift. And then of course it's going to be tricky. Someone is going to be early, and someone is going to be a little bit later, so we will need to pick our moment and good moment with the shift, with the routine, and with all these aspects, and I'm sure Juan is going to make a very nice call.
Xabi Fernandez on board Mafre, Stacey Jackson on board Vestas 11th Hour Racing with their take as to what's going to pay in the next 24, 48 hours. But we've got Conrad Coleman here to have a little bit of a look at what are going to be the key moments coming up in this leg.
Well, that's right. This is a tricky league indeed, and there are 4 key challenges that the sailors are going to be dealing with during the course of this league. The first one is this here, the St. Helena High. Remember, we're down in the South Atlantic, which means that we've got a circulation like this, and so that's what the wind is doing approximately. And as a result, the sailors coming out of Itajai, sailing eastwards until they get this shift happening here, and then we'll do 1 tack, 2 tacks, and then 3 tacks, finally heading up towards Recife, this northeast corner here of Brazil. Moving forwards, well, we're back into the challenge that we saw last on leg 2. Now, these are the Doldrums, and you can see that this challenge between the wind coming from the south and the wind coming from the north, that's what creates this blue zone with no wind in it whatsoever. However, this time we're sailing around the other side of the Atlantic, and so we're going to be sailing on the Brazilian side and then heading up towards Brazil. That means that the wind is a lot more stable. As you can see here, it's pretty much parallel. The synoptic wind, or the gradient wind, should keep the boats going, so there's no risk of a complete shutdown. However, lots of cloud activity and thermal. So this is going to be really hot, and could be quite boisterous with the squalls coming from the clouds. However, once across the equator and the Doldrums, we're back into the northern hemisphere. So that means that we're into another high pressure zone. This one is the Azores, and basically that means that as the boats sail from Brazil past the Caribbean and then finally up into Newport, they're going to be sailing around this edge of the high pressure. That means that you've got wind, basically 15 or 20 knots of wind on a broad reach all the way along. The key thing that's going to make a difference here in terms of boat speed is being really attentive with the trimming and the driving, because basically you've got the same sail setup for more than 1,000 miles. Finally, when you do approach Newport and the east coast of the United States, you've got one other big challenge, but this time not from the wind, but rather what's underneath it. You've got a massive hot flow of current that's called the Gulf Stream that sort of fires a lot of heat up that coast from the Caribbean and then finally back across the Atlantic. Now this flows in this direction, so it's going northwards, same direction as the boats. When the boats are going to be coming along here, they can get a turbo of 2, 3, sometimes 4 knots. However, it all is dependent upon whether the wind is going in the same direction as the current. If you can imagine that you've got wind doing that against current going northwards, then you can end up with really choppy conditions, really steep waves, and not really such a turbo effect at all. So it's going to be super critical that the sailors choose whether it's worth it to go into this potentially dangerous zone to get a magic carpet ride into Newport.
And fundamentally then, a bit of a different leg from what we saw the last one as well with the Southern Ocean.
Well, the personality here is completely different. If you could characterize the Southern Ocean as sort of this sort of rough and tumble, non-stop challenge from Auckland to Itajaí via the Cape Horn, this one is completely different. There are no major dangers out there. There's all about the way that the teams can get all of the tiny little details right. It's going to come down to, you know, a couple of centimeters here or there on the trim and really delicate scents on the helm as well. So the team that's going to win into Newport is the one that can put all of the little details together. However, this is still a leg that has plenty of challenges. I talked about 4 of them, but one that I didn't so far is the fact that there's probably going to be lots of sargasso seaweed out there. So this is the seaweed that sort of clumps together just offshore of the Caribbean, and so that's going to be a future subject, but certainly represents a serious challenge.
And we'll have to wait to see just how big a challenge it's going to be, and indeed who it is that comes victorious at the finish line, because we are only one day into this race. The start was yesterday in Itajaí, just like all the offshore legs. It begins with an import section just in front of the seawall, just in front of the spectators there to soak up all the drama and all the atmosphere. And if you missed it, this is what it was like.
Seconds to go as they wind up for the start. 5,700 nautical miles from Itajaí in Brazil to Newport, Rhode Island. It's go for the entire fleet. Matt Frey, superstar, turned the tide on plastic. Excellent from them as well. Dongfeng race team, Vestas 11th Hour Racing, all at the front row of the start.
What a fantastic start by Matt Frey. They timed that beautifully at the bottom end of the line, and
Matt Frey lead around the first mark of the 5,700 mile leg from Itajaí to Newport, Rhode Island. Hot on their heels, Dongfeng race team. Brunel now squeezing around. Sun Hun Kai Scallywag squeezing around in 6th place in 7th. Vestas 11th Hour Racing. Matt Frey lead around the 2nd mark here in Itajaí. Beautiful sailing from the Spanish team. Dongfeng race team having to give water to Brunel. Brunel in 2nd, Dongfeng race team in 3rd. Look how close it is. Turn the tide on plastic in 4th. Around the top mark for the 2nd time, Matt Frey hold a lead of around 10 boat lengths ahead of Dongfeng race team. Be close, the umpires look on the boats just behind, keeping a very close eye on it. Turn the tide on plastic, just dipping under Brunel. Dongfeng race team squeezing in ahead of Brunel for a 2nd place. Brunel in 3rd. Turn the tide on plastic in 4th. Around the 2nd windward mark. That the leaving mark for the Itajaí stopover. Now it's offshore rules apply. Matt Frey leading. Great sailing from them all the way around the racecourse.
what a fantastic way to leave Itajaí. Beautiful sailing weather, fantastic stopover. The crowds have been wonderful.
An intense start to leg 8 in Itajaí. If you want to watch the entire import section, the replay is on YouTube and Facebook. Go ahead. But now I want to highlight a couple of things on the website that you need to be aware of as the boats head offshore. It is 5,700 miles to go, and this is where you're going to find all your information. Click on Racing on the website, and the first thing you're going to find is the tracker. This is in live mode at the moment. Normally we keep it in live mode for around 24 hours. This time, 48 hours. A little bit of a treat for you. On the right-hand side, though, click on crew lists. Now, this gives you an idea of who is on what boat for this leg. All the teams, all the sailors, and a few of their stats. But let's have a look at who's changed, who's in, who's out. Well, Team Axon Nobel, no changes at all. They're very happy with their lineup of the last leg, so it continues now. Dongfeng race team, we've got Stu Bannatyne coming in, Jeremy Bayou stepping off. Mafre, Sophie Zizek out. Now, this is a big change, and we were hearing from the boat earlier as to why, but the key thing is nobody on board to replace her. So that's going to be interesting. One sailor down. Will the weight advantage help, or is it simply going to be an important piece of the team now missing? Well, we'll have to watch and see. Moving on, Vestas 11th Hour Racing. Jennemai Hansen on board, the 49er FX sailor. Hannah Diamond stepping off for this leg. Team Sun Hunkai Scallywag, Luke Parkinson on, along with Peter Cumming. Now, Peter is an Extreme Sailing Series multi-hull offshore sailor. He's going to have to get to grips with life on the Volvo Ocean 65 pretty fast. Tom Braywood stepping off from Team Sun Hunkai Scallywag. Turn the Tide on Plastic, 3 changes. Martin Strongberg, previous winner, he's on. Annalise Murphy back in as well. Nico Lundvin taking over as navigator from Brian Thompson stepping out, along with Blevin Mon, and Edley Jane Matrew also off as well for this leg. Team Brunel, 1 change. Louis Balkeen back on board the boat. Now, Louis was part of Bauer Becking's crew in the previous edition of the race when they finished second. He knows his way around a Volvo Ocean 65, and we've featured him more and more in this race. We'll be keeping a very close eye indeed. And this is why, because the points are incredibly close. If you click on scoreboard, it will bring you up the points as they stand. We are now racing on leg 8, 11 legs in total. And at the top at the moment, it is 1 point between Dongfeng Race Team and Mafre. We really need to stop talking about Dongfeng Race Team being in the lead. They're effectively tied. We still have, don't forget, a double points leg to come. Now, behind them, Team Brunel in 3rd place. They're 10 points off the lead. But if you're thinking that Bauer Becking can still do this and can still claim 1st place, then go far down to Team Sun Hunkai Scallywag. They're only 10 points behind Team Brunel. Could Sun Hunkai Scallywag reclaim that podium spot, that 3rd that they did hold earlier on in the race? At the bottom, Vestas 11th Hour Racing, they haven't scored any points for 4 legs. They're going to be desperate for a strong performance now that they're back on the water with a mast back in the boat. Turn the Tide on Plastic. They've got a little bit of work to do, but just look at how quickly their performance has improved here. On the first few legs, very low point scoring, but then leg 7, double point leg, 8 points as they cross the line in fine form. We can expect Di Cavari to be hungry for more of the same. But it's not just the sailors that are keeping a very close eye on how the teams were performing, or indeed us here in Race Control. Friends and family alike, and one very special fan of the race, Torben Grael, was in Itajaí, a sailing legend, a previous winner of the Volvo Ocean race, but now a father. Martine Grael, his daughter, is on the water with Team Axon Nobel, and we caught up with Torben and asked him what's it like to follow the Volvo Ocean race from a father's perspective.
Well, this next leg is actually a good one, kind of easy if you compare to the last one. Much warmer, a little bit more what she's used to, so it's going to be a good one. The last one was, of course, we know beforehand a hard one, and it got even harder after what we know happened. So everyone got a little scared after that, and it's a hard moment. But I think it was a great experience for her. She enjoyed the leg pretty much, the heavy air sailing, and I think going through Cape Horn is a lifetime experience, and she's very happy about that. When you're there, you don't have a lot of time to think about things. You just do what you know you have to do, and I think when you're outside, it's much different. Oh, she's enjoying it a lot, and it's exactly the feeling that most of us have, is your best sailing moments and the worst ones as well. But it's pretty much worth it.
Torben Grael, Brazilian sailing legend and father of Martine Grael, gold medalist in the 49er FX from the Rio Olympics, and he will be watching things very closely, as you can as well, because the tracker is live. Now, we've got Some information coming in from the stopover in Itajaí about what the teams have been doing to try and make themselves as fast as possible for this leg. And the big question is the sails. We know that some of the teams have had to use new sails. Team Brunel brought in a new main a couple of legs ago. Vestas 11th Hour Racing, of course, after their dismasting, they've got a new set of sails, or at least they're using their backup. But what about the other teams? Well, we're going to have Nick Bice, the manager of the boatyard. He's going to be joining us here in race headquarters in the next couple of days, and we're going to be grilling him from all the information. But what do you think? Who's made the winning moves right out from the start? We're seeing some of the comments coming in at the moment. Jeremy Christie talking about, can Scallywag cut the corner? Well, they've done so in the past. Could this be the winning move? Are they in the lead now that they're simply closer to the finish line? Or is Mafre to the south, diving into that wind bend, going to come out on top? Let us know who you think is going to be in the lead in the next few days in the comments below. We're going to be back with you tomorrow with a quick fix, and then at 1300 UTC tomorrow, we've got another daily show, interviews and analysis. We will see you then.